approval of the agenda. We got down here, I think everybody got it in front of them. We'll start over the sound engineers. For the old business, we will, had the sound engineer we talked about, we had rewrote the survey questions, and then the wind ordinance changes that we had. And then in the new business, Dennis had found a typo or a discrepancy for the time, or the bylaws in ordinance 23. And then, setting the time for the meeting if we wanna think about how long we wanna be here. So, and then we'll have the round table and all that, so. That's acceptable to anybody, or do we want any changes or additions? I see Ann brought, some stuff that she had found in the ordinance that she's got questions on. Does anybody have any objections to putting them into the agenda?
We have a second to the motion? Lee made the motion to accept the agenda.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is do we wanna add what Ann wanted to the agenda before we accept it? Ann's got the questions that she wants to add in about the ordinance.
Here.
Yep. Does anybody have any objections to that? So we add it in.
I'll second it. I'll second it.
We'll make that C on,
New business.
yeah.
Second to agenda.
Any other thing that anybody think needs to be added, or? So you move to approve the agenda, and second it,
Change the name stuff.
with the changes? All-
Including that under old business and window ordinance changes? Or is that gonna be new business?
I put it under new business, but I don't know what you want.
Well, we talked about all this other stuff last week.
That's, yeah, that's what I'm saying, we talked about literally everything
Yep.
last month.
Yep. So, you just went over what the old business was.
So we're adding Ann's list of concerns under
New business.
new business?
Yep, I would say that would be C.
Okay.
Good. Got it? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Now that we've accepted that, can we get the approval or any corrections that anybody has seen for the minutes from last month? motion to approve the minutes for last month. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes to approve the minutes last month. Andy, what's the yellow sheet here? Should we add that to agenda?
No, that can go right underneath A, your sound engineer.
Okay. All right. So in the old business, we had, move on, old business, we talked about the sound engineer, I guess that'd be a good time to bring it up. I also give all of you the proposal that was done up by ABD, and where our in contact is done to get, approved quote and approval of one.
They didn't give you a date yet,
Okay.
so we can't set a special meeting for.
Not for
any-
that one, we could for Robert Grant.
Well, he said the 17th or after is what he had in his latest communication, because he sent this after the last board meeting. I passed out to all the board meetings for all the audience members, a yellow piece of paper that was from Mr. Robert Rand and Rand Acoustics LLC, about ethics and business practice. It just goes on to say that as a member of the Institute of Noise and Control Engineering, I adhere to the INCE rules of practice, which require approving only noise control engineering studies, reports, or work which, to the best of the reviewer's knowledge and belief, is safe for public health, property, and welfare in conformance with accepted practice. From years of work in power generation, noise control acceptable practices includes assuring that the proposed facility will comply with regulatory requirements with an adequate margin of safety. Professional opinions are given to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, opinions based on the information available during the review. I reserve the right to supplement or revise analysis and recommendations should additional information come to light. And then he goes on to say, a note of claims of bias or anti-win. As a neutral party, my services include noise control, community impact assessment, designing to meet regulations with adequate margin of safety, and protecting health and welfare. I worked for Stone & Webster for 10 years in the noise and vibration group and have successfully reviewed, designed, and specified noise control planning and technologies for utility scale power and commercial operations with budgets into the 8 figures. In my firm's independent professional consulting capacity, there is no particular bias or interest in the brand of noise producing equipment being investigated. If someone levels the charge anti-wind, by that same logic, they'd have to make claims of anti-gas, anti-coal, anti-oil, anti-nuclear, anti-transformer, anti-backup generator, and even anti-restaurant and anti-concert hall. Rand Acoustics, it provides consultations for the best possible faculty designs, ensuring that regulations are met, public safety, health, and welfare is protected, and complaints are prevented. Recommendations and opinions are carefully developed from years of power generation experience and acoustic investigations. Consulting services and opinions have proved useful for utilities, commercial, military, regulatory, and community clients alike. Power utility clients I've worked with over the years have demonstrated their commitment to shareholders and operations by investing in noise controls to prevent complaints and legal action. The shift to turnkey systems in the mid-90s has placed greater burden on the specifications and siting review. Due to materials and design challenges, sufficient distance is currently the only reliable noise control option for large 3-bladed wind turbines. Emotionally charged, unprofessional labels can polarize the public and regulators and cool customer interest in professional services. Deliberate slander and libel can destroy future income. I am aware of work lost due to libel. I consider this a serious matter and expect it to be so for the boards and customers who work cooperatively with experts to determine the best actions to promote zoning objectives, assure reliable compliance with regulatory limits, and protect the health, safety, and welfare of the public. That's from Robert Rand, January 15th, 2022. He asked that be read to the board members after he He said after the 17th of February, and basically to give him a couple dates for us to choose from, and he would, then we can make the Zoom call, so.
So this is not gonna happen overnight, I can see that because, did we get the survey questions rewrote, how we planned them out?
They are in the minutes, rewritten, exactly how we had discussed. So those can be taken to the board now. Okay. Yep.
Has anybody got any other
Pardon
debate on it?
Pardon parentheses, we didn't say anything about that.
That was discussed at the end when we were going over public comment, and we said, yes, we needed to determine that we made sure that we put industrial in there. So that people didn't confuse it with,
That's, yeah,
With-
was,
with, personal turbines.
single ones.
Then make
That's
it,
correct.
should instead of the 300 to 700 foot, put industrial wind turbines?
It says industrial wind energy, and that's why in parentheses to 300 to 700 foot, because there could be anything from that height range.
Okay.
So is there a possibility you can do something else, take it to the board?
Yep, I will have it, and I can email it, I'll cut it out and
Thanks.
have it ready to go to the board.
Okay. Sounds good. And so you talk about, we weren't here, you can see kind of some of the stuff that we did on these, wind ordinance, Dennis, Blaney had.
Can you talk louder? We can't hear you.
Sorry, I'll try,
Thank you.
that way you guys can see what we actually talked about. If there's any concern about this call. There's a couple of them that, I had, been questioned on, and it was, the shadow flicker and the adding the 24-hour period, it's already zero,
And I needed-
shadow flicker.
I needed to look at, and pull that up,
So that would be something we don't even have to add,
No.
because it's zero shadow flicker
That is
for
correct.
not participating. I was pointing that out.
it was redundant, so, and I probably should have put that in there.
Also, the Eagle incident take permit for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services. That there would be mandatory with the,
This is in addition to the other one that
The
was
state.
already listed in there.
right, for the state.
That is correct. This, there's in the ordinance currently, there is already stating that it'd be a state one. This is a federal from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
I understand that, but when, So you're saying everyone has to have a permit?
Yes, it would be in the application thing, just where the other ones are. That's where we voted to put it in.
Okay.
It also they had to have permission from the National Forest Service.
And this was
It
just,
doesn't really need to be in the ordinance, but that's fine, we got it.
Yeah,
Because it's part of the federal regulations concerning that whole thing.
so it's just
They have to
an
do it.
additional coverage to make sure that you make sure.
Remind me again what section, number 7's 4A. I don't know if I've got it over here right now. What was 4A? It doesn't give a good description.
Page 8's what I have.
What do you got?
They wanted a 24-hour measurement.
Okay, that's the shadow flicker
Yeah.
again.
Yes,
So, and then again, so and then that one
that one was,
will
again,
be at 0 anyway, so.
yes, so that was redundant.
Okay. Everybody good with that?
Yes,
Just taking that, well, basically just take 2 and 7, it's gonna be 0 anyway, so
Yeah.
we'll take them right off. Did you get another draft made up then, or?
no, because I was
Okay.
waiting for the sound, because
Okay,
there was no point
That's
in
very
sending it
well.
off to,
we don't need 17 more of them.
exactly, so why not wait and then send all changes at once?
Okay, if that's okay, I would say we'll go on to new business. And on that note, Zenda's had found some discrepancies in our bylaws and in these ordinance 23, which we just
If you get out ordinance 23,
Which one, what page is that on?
that would be, well, it's, section 8 of ordinance 23.
Okay,
It's bylaws, meetings, and records. And then you get out your,
and that's down here, notice of a special meeting.
yeah,
So the planning commission member at least 18 hours before the meeting.
and then the Maple Valley Township Planning Commission resolution adopting planning commission bylaws and rules of procedure.
Notice of special meeting shall be given to the members of the planning commission at least 72 hours prior. I think there's a difference there. I believe that this is for section 8 of the bylaw meetings and records, that it's a public for the 18 hours before a special meeting, but the planning commission members is 72 hours.
So we have time to review
Right.
anything that has been turned
I
into a
don't-
special meeting.
It doesn't there's no, delineation between the two to say something like that. A special meeting is a special meeting.
Well, but it's given the members of the planning commission 72 hours prior notice. See what I'm saying? Where the other one, in section 8, notice of a special meeting to the planning commission members at least 18 hours before, okay, yeah, that
Same
is,
wording.
yeah, it is the same wording. I thought that was.
This,
for the public.
and what the 18 hours that's in here is what comes out of the Open Meeting Act.
Okay.
I believe that's why this was put in there. This was put in there to conform with the Open Meetings Act.
I believe that should be corrected then, I mean, it's the same thing. So, I guess we need to amend,
I'd like to make a motion that we amend the special meetings,
for the bylaws or the,
in the bylaws from 72 hours to 18 hours to coincide with the section 8, bylaws, meetings, and records of the ordinance 23.
So we're gonna adjust the bylaws?
Yes, not the ordinance, we can't,
Not the ordinance, no.
Okay,
The
so the
bylaws we
bylaws,
Ordinance has to be done
we
right.
have an write this down or I won't get it right. We have a motion to amend the bylaws. For a special meeting to 18 hours.
And I got a note here, if anybody wants to do a quick research, it comes out of the Act, Public Act 267 of 1976, 15.265, Section 5, parentheses 4, states 18 hours. That's the old Open Meetings Act, line.
Okay, so we have a motion to amend the bylaws for special meetings to 18 hours for prior notice. Is there a second on that? Then, moved and seconded to amend the bylaws for special meetings to 18 hours for prior notice. All in favor?
No,
I,
All opposed? So passed. All right. I believe I was reading in the Robert's Rules of Order that we could set a time limit for our meetings. That we're gonna have a meeting. I don't know about you, but 3 hours at a meeting for what we get paid for doing this is a little
but
high.
the OMA trumps Robert Rules of Order, so you cannot put a time limit on it. You can, but as long as you're allowing sufficient public comment and everyone gets to comment, so you're not violating Open Meetings Act.
Open Meetings Act, I'll have to check into that. Okay, and then, since I'm not talking much about that, how about we go right over to Ann's concerns on some of the ordinance.
First, Andy, is there an updated,
I sent one in December to everyone before the January meeting.
When was that one?
this one I have is from October.
I don't think it's changed since then.
Well, I mean, I made the changes we talked about last month, but I thought there would be another one sent out after we did changes
Yes,
last month.
I did not send one out.
No, not yet.
No, not
You
yet,
haven't? Okay.
because I was
Because-
waiting till after we did the
The
sound
sound.
to do everything at once.
Okay, all right, got it. I didn't know that was,
And the
Okay.
last one I sent was in December.
Okay, so let me write
okay,
that.
for some reason I thought you'd be sending one in January, so I just was trying to find it, I couldn't, I guess that's why.
Alright, so we have, see, I got October here too.
Okay.
Uh,
All right,
hey, can you go over this?
Number one,
It's on page 10?
the numbers that are in parentheses, those are the page numbers on the copy I have.
Okay.
Okay, so that doesn't,
So I don't know what copy you guys have, but that's where that's coming.
Alright, and then section 4, setbacks,
no, the last one I
Separations
sent
and
had this,
security.
we printed it off.
and that was under the shadow flicker,
Yep, and then the subsection A shadow flicker.
okay? And that's where it was that 24-hour period that we're not gonna put in, cause it's set to 0. What was
All right,
part of
shadow
it, did
flicker,
you?
I'm sorry, I forgot to take that out of there. Whatever answer question I had on that, I answered myself, well,
Okay.
I found the answer to. C, non-participating lot setbacks, which would be down to C and D. I have, a guide, I guess you would call it, from Michigan State University Extension Office about sample zoning for wind energy systems. that I've been poring over for the last month, to try and get a balance on what everybody wants. So that is what I'm working from, is that. And it is not leaning one way or the other, it is unbiased. In the setbacks, they say lake edge versus property lines. MSU's uses property line or road right of way. They recommend if the property line is being used, then use a setback of 2 times the tip height. It is okay to have separate standards for participating and non-participating. With non-participating, make the setback to the property line. With participating, make the setback to the dwelling. Setbacks for the road of right-of-way need to be taken into consideration, the railroad or the railroad trail, either one. Major gas lines, electrical lines, etc., and those setbacks could be 1.1 times the tip height. Turbines are not subject to property line setbacks. For common property lines of 2 or more participating parcels, road right-of-way setback shall apply. So I'm recommending that we change the,
Ann, can I ask a question about this real quick? Why are we discussing what we've already, I mean,
we discussed a few things last time.
well, we did, but I'm just trying to decide why we wanna make this
Because,
closer, why we wanna make it smaller. I'm just trying to figure out where in that within the, I mean, we're still at 3 times the tip height right now where we're sitting. We're at 1,500
From
feet.
the
We
lake.
are still within the 1,640 foot safety zone. I mean, we're still within, where they tell the firefighters and everybody to get back because of fire or whatever else, if something catastrophic happens, we're still within that safety zone. We're not even further back from that, so why would we make it even less?
the last I understood,
I'm gonna interject here, we're getting out of order. As was stated last time, this is only a draft, so we can talk about it all.
No, that's what I'm asking. I'm just asking why I'm asking a genuine question, why would we make it smaller versus leaving it the way it is? I'm just genuinely asking why we wanna make it less safe. That's my curiosity. I mean, I'm just asking a question. So I'm asking the question of why we wanna make it less safe.
That's a debate.
Yep, so, I mean, hey, if you guys wanna go ahead
Can we
and,
give
Yeah.
Ann the floor back so that she can
She certainly
finish
can.
her question?
Yep.
And then we can debate it. Or did you have anything else on that, Ann?
yeah.
Okay, let's go, what else do we have?
All right, my understanding from these last several months is there's a discrepancy, especially with the people that live on the lakes, that they would rather not have the setback start at the edge of the water. What MSU is recommending is that we put it at the property line and then do 2 times the tip height back from that. So I'm thinking that if we switched it from the edge of the water, which,
It's not right here, non-participating lot setbacks. Utility wind turbines shall not be located within 3 times the tip height of a property line of a non-participating lot. So it is off the property line, not the water line.
well, then the next one down is talking about their high water mark. Half a mile from the edge of the, as measured by their high water mark. So this is why I'm like,
And we've already discussed this from going from the,
but the lake would be like the ones that don't have houses on them, correct? I mean, as far as like,
the lakes
what
here
she's
that
saying
I'm
is that we
looking at
have one that's
houses
for
on 'em.
non-participating, so if there's a lake lot that's not participating, you'd go from that. And if the lake doesn't have a house on it, then you'd go from the high water mark, correct?
Well, there's still a property line. There's still a property line whether there's not a house on it or not.
Well, yeah,
Maybe that property line, we should strike that high water line altogether.
but the
Yeah.
lake setbacks, utility wind turbines must be located at least a minimum of 1/2 mile from the edge of the following identified lakes.
As measured by their ordinary high water mark.
Yeah.
Now it lists lakes that
Yeah,
have
there's a
houses.
list of the lakes, and then that's where we put in there unless all property owners on said lakes waive the setback requirement. So you've still got your half mile from the lake. And even if it was a participating, they still gotta have their setback from the water